This is Sessions with Sara Cate and Ashley, a podcast that explores the feelings, emotions, and experiences of what it means to be human in this world. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only and is not meant to replace therapeutic services of any kind. Please refer to the list of references if you need support.
And before you dive in, please like, subscribe, comment, share with anyone you think might also connect with today's session. Our goal is to reach as many people as possible, and we are endlessly grateful for your continued support. So, let's get to it.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, to another Sessions with Sara Cate and Ashley. I'm Sara Cate.
I'm Ashley.
And we have a great session for you today. You know, I mean, have we done a bad one? We would say no. You might have a different opinion. But
Sara Cate, you didn't say today. Was that on purpose?
Today, no. You know why?
Because you said it as soon as I walked in the house.
I did.
You did. You were standing in the kitchen and you were like, today.
Well, you know, I'm turning over a new leaf. You know why? Because Ashley is literally 48 hours from moving away from me. Just me. She's not going towards a new life. She's just specifically moving away from me. I am not resentful. I'm not bitter. I promise. It's a joke.
She's not.
It's a joke. We are very excited for Ashley's new move. It's a big transition. And today's topic kind of supports this, you know, experience for Ashley, I think, in a lot of ways, because we're going to speak about intuition and trusting our intuition. But if we were never permitted to have a relationship to our bodies, to ourselves, to our emotions, to our feelings, it might be really hard for us as adults to trust our intuition. And like, people love to throw that around and like, my intuition told me to do so. But I think when we distill it all down, oftentimes we find we're having a hard time finding our intuition, hearing our intuition, and trusting it. More than anything else, we might hear it, but trusting it is a totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
So today will be the last day for a while that you see our faces like this, side by side. I don't know, maybe the Zoom will do it side by side there too. But at least we're right now still on the same piece of earth.
Touch each other.
We can touch each other. Yes, you will not see this anymore.
Oh.
Moving forward, unless we get to see each other, which we will.
Yeah.
So it's a very exciting day. It's a very sad day. We've already cried once. You know, I mean, if you're new here, sorry about you. There's more to come. But yeah, I think when we were just sitting trying to discuss or trying to figure out what we wanted to talk about today, I don't know why, but intuition kept ringing in my ear. And
one might say you were listening to your intuition.
Oh, good follow through, Ash. Good follow through. You know how comedians will like start with a joke in their bit and then like at the end they'll full circle it. That was that moment. She's good at what she does, folks. That's why hopefully you're here. Intuition and why it's relevant for Ashley moving across the country to tomorrow. Yeah. What would you say? How do you think that your intuition played into?
Yeah. Well, I think it started about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. Okay, let me back that up. It probably started before that, if in terms of like knowing that Denver wasn't where I was supposed to be. Atlanta specifically, maybe like 2-3 years ago. And then it's interesting and something to kind of think about as we talk about, like, you know, if we were never given permission, I think a lot of us, myself included, I would confuse my brain for my intuition.
Yeah.
And so when I was visiting Atlanta a few years ago, I was at this coffee shop and I had this like, there's no other way to describe it really than like a full body message of, oh, you're going to live here. You're supposed to live here. This is where you're supposed to be. And I was like, well, yeah, this coffee shop is pretty great.
I'll move in.
Yeah. I knew it wasn't just the coffee shop, but I was kind of like, whoa, okay, I'm just gonna table that for now. Um, and but that thought, that like little message, it never left my head. It was always kind of like in the background, but then other things happened to make me then quote listen to my brain more than that like internal deep knowing full body sensation. And I think that this can be a couple of things. I think maybe a lot of times we listen to our brain because it's a protection mechanism, right? Because it was new, it would be scary to move, would be kind of random to like in the eyes of other people, and like all of those things. And so I think it's maybe like we do that to protect ourselves. I think we also, if we've never, like I describe it as, especially as a female, I think it's rare that we have examples of females in our life who I describe as being free to, because we have such a power to connect into our intuition and to be led by this innate knowing within us. And it is very rare that we have an example of that in our life. And so it's really hard, in my opinion, without like me finding support around healing some of the things inside of me to allow myself to follow this intuition. And I know for a fact that like every time I see somebody who is free, these females who do follow their intuition and are open about it, about how hard, like not just the good, but like the struggles in that. And they have, it's almost like they've gone through their reclamation to connect back to like who they are. It's not like a rediscovering, it's just like a remembering, And I know for a fact that every time I witnessed that, it like gave me a little bit more strength to be like, okay, no, this is an okay path to travel down.
Yeah.
And it also, I think back to like, okay, had I listened a couple years ago, like what would my life be like right now? And we could do that all day, right? Like, where would I be? What would I be doing? Maybe I'd be so much further ahead, like ahead in quotations, all of those things. Ultimately, it wasn't the right time or I would have gone, like there were things that I had to, like I said, like heal within myself. There were things that I hadn't finished experiencing here in Denver. And now I feel I'm scared, of course. Like I'm like, one, because my car, every time I go on a road trip, I get a little like I have to.
We haven't talked about that in this season yet.
I know, but like
that came a lot in season 1 with Ashley.
Yeah.
Interesting karmic dynamic with cars.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. I have had conversations with her. I just feel like we're on a very different page. We're in a very different chapter in our life. And so
keep me posted. I'm gonna track your location. And if you were somewhere for more than 30 minutes, I'm gonna get freaked out.
But there's like, yeah, there's the logistical worries, right? There's like am I going to be okay? I'm leaving like my dearest friends and my family. Like, am I going to be okay emotionally, spiritually? Am I going to like find my way career wise? Like, those are all thoughts in my head of like, okay, yeah, these are things that I want to be. We talk about this a lot on here. I want to have compassion for. I want to honor those parts of me because if I were to deny them, I would probably spiral. And they deserve, like, this is a huge thing. Like, I'm moving across the country. And yes, I know people there, but I don't know a lot of people there. I don't have the close friendships that I have here. But I am so sure that this is where I am supposed to go. And that can only be described as me getting the ping, the message, whatever you want to call it, from my intuition that like, yeah, hey, pay attention. This is it. And now I'm following it.
Mhm. Well, and when we're talking about this is, I think, this can bring up a lot of kind of judgment or self-criticism
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, because the idea that we don't know ourselves, or the idea that we don't trust ourselves as adults, can be really disruptive.
Yeah.
Because like we're supposed to, because now we're the adult. So now our brain is fully developed. So I should know what I want. I should know how I want it. I should know when I want it. And it also is, I think, where we've talked before about the disservice of like the bypassy empowerment narrative of like, know who you are and like live that loud, when so many of us, a lot of me included, have for a long time built a facade of what I thought I should want and called it empowerment. Because in that moment, that was my empowerment, was trying to take back my narrative. And what I had to reconcile over the course of many years of therapy was that I really didn't know myself. And so therefore I didn't know what made me feel empowered, or what made me feel mad, or what hurt me. And I had probably hidden away from what hurt me for a very long time. And would override it with being busy, with being a performer, with being successful, whatever that meant. And so I think this story of trusting our intuition is actually a story of forgiveness and returning, like, to not going back anywhere, but almost like coming to our bodies and saying, what is here? What information is here? And we might not like some of that information. We actually might, like Ashley even said, like the good, bad, and ugly about trusting your intuition is we might not like what our intuition is telling us. Our intuition might be like, no, not them, not this.
So have you ever done that?
Trusted it, or
like not liked, and then like continued down the path?
Yeah. That
Even
was like
though
all my 20s.
Yeah. Yeah.
My 20s were for getting those inklings and completely and utterly going the other direction.
And this is where, like you said, Sara Cate, that a lot of self-criticism, a lot of
I should have known better.
Yeah.
I should have listened. When we look back,
yeah,
I should have listened to my intuition.
Because hindsight is always 20/20, you know?
If I hear that one more damn time.
I know. And then it's like, well, and I hate when people ask me, guys, and when I say I hate this, I hate it so much. When people ask me, oh, my hand just made a thing on the.
Oh yeah, if you hold it there long enough, it'll, I think, send a high five to everybody.
Okay. Well, I just sent a high five.
Lower hand.
Oh,
See, I raised my hand.
Okay. We're on Zoom and
now I have to lower my
shooting off emojis because I was, praising the air out of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyways, if when people say, well, what signs were there that you saw? Like, what signs were there that you saw that you didn't listen to?
Yeah.
Did you see anything? Didn't you get a ping or whatever they want to call it? Didn't you get like.
Right. But whose voice is that?
Well, right. But so that's one of the, and here's like the thing, like that is something for me that's like super triggering because I have done that myself, right? Like that's one of my self-criticizing ways to like beat myself up, right? Is to be like, well, you probably saw that, but like, why didn't you act on it? And now what it makes me feel is that people are coming in and challenging me. Like, you should have been smarter, right? Like you should have known that. Like why weren't you paying attention?
Yeah.
And so I think there's such a opportunity here to get really curious on how it might feel to look at yourself through a lens of like, okay, if I strip away like my external, my outward like representation, what's left on the inside, what does that even look like? Like I will sometimes have my clients describe themselves without using any labels, including like mom, wife, friend, sister, whatever they do for their career. They don't like none of that, and like strip away all of it. And then look at what's left. And this can be really hard because we don't know how to describe ourselves a lot of times, you know,
separate from what we do.
Right. And so, and that might be a really nice place for you to start, and just to get a view of what can you remember about yourself. And then that then can lead to, it's like kind of building the foundation for that trust, right? Because again, like I didn't trust, I listened to it, right? But I didn't jump on that message to like, I didn't pack up my stuff right away and move to Atlanta a couple years ago. I had to like really work through some things first, like I said, because I don't know that even if there was an opportunity for me to like move right away, I don't know if I would have taken it, because I just wasn't in a place where I could fully go in on trusting that intuition message that I got.
And it's a, you know, it's a developing really, it's allowing relationship to your sensation again, right? Because like sometimes I don't want to hear the sadness, or I don't want to hear the grief, or I don't want to hear the confusion. And I don't want to hear the doubt. A lot of the time, I don't want to hear the doubt. And so I think it's building also a capacity to tolerate those things that you might find your intuition pulling you towards, or naming, or showing you, you know. And I want to be very clear that like my discernment between what my intuition is and what my fear / anxiety is, Ashley was talking about her brain. And my discernment between those two things is a work in progress. And I believe it will forever be.
Yeah.
It will forever be,
for sure,
me figuring out if this is my intuition telling me, nope, be afraid, don't do this, this isn't right, compared to what my fear or what my anxiety is driving, is hard for me to tell. And I think anybody who sells you, be wary of anybody who sells you some story or some 7-week course about being able to trust your intuition, because what that ultimately can create is, again, more distrust in yourself and what you know. And the more that I've allowed myself not to know, the more trust I've built. Because when I don't know, I spend more time with my intuition. I spend more time with my emotions. I spend more time with my body and my being. But when I tell myself I know, I avoid it. Okay. I override it, and then I shame, because I'm like, see, well, I couldn't tell if that was my intuition. So then, you know, I create a story about it. And I think that high control groups, right? I think religious communities, I think narcissistic partners, controlling bosses, people who want to manipulate, use that tactic of really helping disrupt the difference between fear and your intuition, and you not being able to know which one is real.
Okay, so you kind of, I was about to ask you like, okay, so like, what do you do? But you kind of alluded to this. So I have another question though, or an observation.
Yeah.
I want you to confirm or deny.
Okay. I feel like I should have a lie detector.
Would you? She's lying. Is that what it does?
No,
it
doesn't shock you if you're lying. That's torture.
Oh,
a lie detector. A lie detector just shows it.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm with you.
I don't know. Maybe in Scientology it does. I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
With the canisters.
What?
You hold on to these canisters, and they tell you essentially if you're, oh God, I've watched so many things on Scientology and I can't remember what it's called, but you hold on to canisters and then they ask you a series of questions, and they essentially tell you if you're like wrong or doing something wrong, or you're, I can't remember what it's called. You're trying to go, like you're going clear is what they say. And so when you're like doing this, it's like a lie detector, I think, but like they're like asking you if you've done these bad things and like it's so bad.
It's giving confession flashback.
Yeah, 100%. They stole this from the Catholic Church. Watch, they're gonna come for us hard now.
You
But,
know,
like, the Catholic Church and the Scientologists are coming for us. But it's true because again, it's this. What they're doing is you're saying, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Or I don't believe that, or I don't feel that.
Yeah.
And they're saying, that's not true.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're putting themselves as the authority of your body, of your being, so that you don't trust it.
Yeah.
And so that's how these groups work. And this is how, unfortunately, hierarchies, cultural hierarchies work. It depends on what culture you grew up in, but like who is like kind of the head of it, you listen to more than you trust your own body. And I think growing up in a Christian home, there was not even specifically in my environment, but in my church environment, and just like biblically, it's like the man is the head of the home. And so you like have this kind of patriarchal alignment of things. And so you trust God, then you trust parents, then somewhere along the line, you maybe have some sort of feeling. Do you trust it? Probably not. If three other omnipotent, adults energies have told you no, as a young kid, are you going to be like, I mean, some of you rebels out there, keep going. I have a couple of those clients and I'm like, I'm not going to take her away from that feeling.
Yeah.
Keep going, girl.
Yeah. Well, I'm just learning so much.
Back to being shocked by the lie.
Oh my gosh.
I'm dead. I'm in love with that. That's what you thought happened. Clearly she's also never had to do a lie detector test. So that's good. We know Ashley is pure. She's never been questioned.
Oh, okay. All right.
What was the question?
So the question was,
confirm or deny.
Yeah, confirm or deny, but now I'm gonna rewind a little bit because you mentioned things that you kind of did, like spending more time with yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
that, like when you don't know, you don't force it.
Yep.
And that, like, then you have to like spend more time with yourself. Okay. So would you confirm or deny that when this happens, it's an invitation for yourself just to slow down and be a bit more still? Okay. And that is something.
Confirm.
She confirmed it, folks. You heard it here first. Breaking news. But this is important because in our society, we don't get many messages like that. And we're not supported in that slowing down. We're not supported in that stillness. We're not supported in the time we spend with our body, just being with our body. And so Sara Cate and I are always here to help you find resources, to help you find the support, to help you like still and calm and just, find a little bit more connection to not knowing,
making that journey safer.
But also like this looks different for everyone.
100%.
The quote slowing down or finding stillness, like what we're saying is not that you all of a sudden have to like meditate for 20 minutes every single day, but
catch me doing that. Never. I tried.
But maybe it is every morning when you take your dog out, you pause and just say, hey, how am I feeling right now? Or what do I notice about the trees around me? Or like things like that. Like it can be as simple as just a, hey, how are you doing? Okay, if you can't see us, I'm 100% laughing at Sara Cate because she just spilled coffee all down her shirt.
I saw a picture of a little girl in a white shirt and it said no one. And then underneath it said me eating soup. And it shirt was covered in soup. And I was like, I feel seen.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue with your thoughtful message.
Do you remember when you came to see me at my old office and I was like,
oh God,
I got burrito pants. You remember that? Because I was eating a She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just felt my breakfast burrito all over my pants.
That's how we knew. That's how we knew we wanted to bring this to you. This dynamic duo of spillage are the officials on trusting your intuition. Thank you for journeying with us. Anyways, this has been a tangential day.
It
but
really has.
Important tangents.
Yes. Okay.
So finishing what
So,
you're
I don't know what I was saying. Okay. We're gonna recap.
resources.
Oh, yes, resources. And then it looks differently for everyone. And this whole entire podcast is about you being in charge. Not that you don't have any support along the way or like, assistance, but you being in the driver's seat of what this looks like for you and your body and your life. Because regardless of the messages that we got as children, the messages that we got even as we were growing up and into adult life, if we've never been given permission, like Sara Cate said, first 2 minutes of this podcast, if we've never been given permission to explore our emotions and our feelings, we won't know what the sensations in our body are trying to tell us. And it can feel like a foreign language when we start to pay attention. And just like learning an actual foreign language, we've got to take our time. We've got to slow down.
Yeah.
We've got to
Practice.
Oh, okay.
This is so good.
Oh, and that takes time. It takes time and it takes
Present.
like we always say, it takes compassion and some love. And also, I know from my personal experience, and I know from watching my clients move through this, learning the language of their body, it's so worth it. And it's not always easy. Sometimes it's really fucking cool and so fun. And when you I can't tell you enough that this move, this decision, I feel like is the culmination of so much work that I have been doing, that this is what I have dreamed of feeling like, and it's a reality. And that is,
you don't want to miss it.
Yeah. And I don't even know what to say. I'm just so grateful for myself for doing the work. And Sara Cate, because she was the nudge a lot of times to keep going.
I'm good at that.
She
was
was
trusting yourself.
Well, yes.
That's the thing. We can be nudged all we want to.
Yeah.
But the fact that Ashley said yes to herself and yes to learning and yes to allowing. We talked a lot in the last couple of episodes about things evolving and changing, and Ashley gave permission for those things to change and then kept checking in with herself. And I think that moving, landing this even more and what we're here for is it we're here to try.
Yeah.
And so I think, and why I say that is if you don't have those relationships, Ashley was just saying, I've done a lot of work to get there. And I think unfortunately it is just that. It's work. It's pain, it's confusion, it's euphoria, it's aliveness, it's all of it. And the great thing about this is if you do that, you get to feel all of those things. Not just the good, not just the bad, all of it, but you get access to more of it. So
I often think of it as instead of it being just dull, the world color wise, instead of it just being kind of dulled out color, it's just vivid and beautiful.
Totally. And so, we always encourage you to reach out to us, to others, facilitators, people who can help you. I needed someone to guide me, and I did a ton of work in my body for a lot of years before I actually really had a relationship to it. I was a dancer as a child. I moved into yoga as an adult. and a lot of for that was a lot of bypass. It was actually me just avoiding the things that I felt in my body through different sensation. And so reconciling this for me has been hard. And like I was saying, I don't have it down. I don't often know immediately the difference between my intuition and my fear. But when I come back to myself and when I listen, and I think that part of it is where the patience has to come in with ourselves in the process of like, we don't know. And so we have to keep working until we do. And we have to keep listening until we do. And we have to build, like, relationship is about time and energy. And that is what our system needs. And that takes time, and it takes our presence, and it takes our energy to be able to hear those things and listen to them and then learn to trust them. But this is, I say all that to not get discouraged with the process, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't started, okay. So like Ashley said, step out in the morning with your dog, or pour that cup of tea and sit with, like, what do I notice? That's where you start. Just what do I notice? And then get curious about that. I think, and like, it's hard once we start doing this because, again, we find things we might not like. And then we learn, maybe, wow, these days of the month, or this month in particular, every year, it's really hard for me. And then you just learn compassion. Then you learn, like, oh, I know April's a rough month for me, so I'm gonna take it easy. Or I'm gonna plan some things I really love, or whatever it might be. But giving yourself permission, right, to just explore. And that's what we're, hoping to create the invitation for you to do today, because your intuition does want you to come back towards it. I think for so long, the ache that I felt in my body was the fact that I was leaving it. I was always leaving it to go to something else, to go to listen to somebody else about who I was supposed to be and how I was supposed to be. It wasn't the abandonment of the people in my life that hurt. It was the abandonment of myself when I kept trying to go with them. And it takes, like I said, forgiveness of like, oh yeah, why would my intuition trust that I would trust it? When I'm always like, bye.
Yeah.
So if you too feel like you need to move to Atlanta,
oh, come on,
go for it.
Let's go.
You will find this little curly haired dynamic firecracker there. I won't be there because she's moving away from me. But you will still see our faces. We are still doing the podcast. We're just going to do some social distancing podcasting.
Yeah. But together in heart.
I feel like that was the end of a 90s sitcom.
Yeah.
Okay. We're here for you. Get a hold of us. Please share this with somebody who's maybe starting to do their work around trusting their intuition, or like to give some encouragement about the fact that you don't have to just know how to do it.
Yeah.
Share it with somebody who's interested in this stuff, or give us a review. Tell us what you don't like.
Yeah. Let us know. Okay. Until next time. Until next time. That's what I'm going to say. Okay. Take care of yourselves.